Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web-based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for our clients in Florida and New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. As you know, we've started having all sorts of different conversation on this channel, and I thank you guys all for being here. I don't know, I can't see who's here yet, but so today, being that we are having this whole 2020 that we're having, and we have the holidays coming up. One of the things that I wanted to do was have a conversation about mental health around the holidays. And of course, we're going to be talking about mental health in the 2020. So if you have questions, hopefully you did have questions and you did bring questions, and you can, because today I have two amazing clinicians who are here to help me and share some thoughts, tools, information, and all sorts of stuff. Next to me, you will see Dr. Miriam Glemo, who is she used to be one of us. She used to be in LCSW. She's still in LCSW, but she is also a PsyD right now, and she is the clinical director at a local facility. And we have Tori Hodge. Tori is actually one of my FAU classmates, Team FAU. Sorry, Miriam, we're leaving you out. So Tori is one of my classmates from when I did my MSW at FAU way back when. And today we want to talk about stuff that is going on in mental health in around the holidays, and of course, mental health in 2020. All right, so ladies, this is it. As people will start trickling, and one of the first things I want to talk about, I usually have notes. I am that person. Yes, I have paper. What? So one of the first things I want to talk about is, how do people prepare mentally for the holidays? Because we keep reading all the stuff that says the holidays are a stressful time, this, that, and the other. How can people prepare? I'm trying to unmute all of you. Okay, you guys are not. I don't know if you're muting yourself after I unmute you, but you guys are.
I'm on.
Okay, so jump in. This is a conversation. This is not a Q&A. This is a conversation. I want you guys to feel free to just jump in and talk. We're cool.
Go ahead, doctor. I'm going to let you go first.
Thank you. And I'm still an LCSW. I keep both licenses, the LCSW and the licensed psychologist. Call me crazy, but that's fine.
Hey, I'm with you.
So how do we get ready for the holidays? Actually, this year is going to be a different situation because we're still dealing with a pandemic, where normally looking forward to the holidays, people are looking forward to meet with the family members. They are looking to gather with other loved ones. And usually the holidays, we have something we call the holiday blue. It's normally very difficult for people who are alone. It's very difficult for people who don't have any family members or who have somebody who passed away for the past year. So it's normally very difficult. So I'm wondering what terminology we're going to come up with this year, because basically the CDC is asking us to be alone.
Me. I want to answer that.
Okay.
I have called it the mental health perfect storm. That's my terminology.
That's a good one.
I think it's the most clinical terminology, the best way to define it. Sorry.
Yes. So now, those of you who normally spend the holiday alone and feel the holiday blues, there's no more blues. Because that's you doing exactly what the CDC is asking you to do, which is stay away from others, those you don't live with. So it's going to be a different kind of holidays this year. It's been very difficult, even for us in the mental health field. We are hearing more and more about people, and that the height of anxiety is higher, depression is higher. It's been a very challenging year. So in my nutshell, I would say getting yourself ready always starts with you. That's the only way you can get ready, is really start with your own self-care, taking care of yourself, taking time for yourself, because you cannot give what you don't have. So you got to start with yourself. So that's my little grain of advice to start up with. But I'm sure Tori has much more to say.
Oh, bless her. Thank you. thank you for having me on this platform. The holidays are interesting because a lot of people do celebrate, and there's those that don't, that are within the same family systems. But I think that the biggest thing right now is to really start to be in a mental state of creation. And what I mean by that is the word that comes to mind for me is being present. And presence is something I think the indigenous people could teach us the best. Presence is really being present with acknowledging feelings, being realistic, start to plan. My grandfather used to always say the first stage of preparation is planning. And learning, how to say no and how to say yes.
Mhm.
Because this is COVID, and now we're forced to be isolated and forced to be, uh, for some, alone that don't have husbands, spouses, children, mothers living with them, fathers that they're caring for. If they don't have pets, pets are really great to have during COVID: cats, dogs, birds, fish, plants, anything that you could take care of and nurture while you're nurturing yourself. I think it's really about being present to what's going on. And I think the biggest thing is the news and the media can really generate a lot of unnecessary anxiety that turns into fear. And, fear really comes from scarcity and a lack mentality and a scarce mind, which then fear breeds control and manipulation, and then you get the depression and the anxiety and the panic attacks and the post-traumatic stressors. So I think starting off with being present and practicing presence, you know, and one way you can do that is just breathe first, because we don't.
Well, society does not encourage breathing. We're supposed to be moving and constantly, huh?
And actually, it's a good thing that Tori's saying, the whole mindfulness that we talk about in our
Hmm.
own jargon. But I think that's what when you think about the coronavirus, that's basically what it is. We were on a fast paced environment where it's go, 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 go. And all of a sudden, this pandemic says, slow down.
Yeah.
Whatever you think you were going to do that was so important that you didn't have time to sit down and breathe. That's basically the backside of it, is that it's kind of telling us it's time to slow down. We were on a fast pace. We were
And
really
it's
fast
interesting too.
paced.
It's interesting because the earth was able to replenish.
Yes.
The
Yes.
icebergs were able to come back. The
Yeah.
trees, the fires stopped. It was very interesting when you think about, there was some real pros to this virus. It was a time of reflection. It was time of purging,
Yes.
cleansing, purifying, clearing
Yes.
off. It's been a very, very challenging, but it's been, if people look at it from the perspective that I'm in a space of creating. What am I creating for myself?
Well, one of some Doc one says being present and unplugging from the news and media, which as you guys were saying it, one of the things that I know a lot of people have reported is being able to spend a lot more time with their family. So yeah, as much as yes, the pandemic has been tough, the pandemic has done a lot to people. It has brought that, and a lot of people have started connecting. But earlier, Miriam was saying how the people that were normally alone are. It's not their. I think if I don't know why I feel like even more people will feel alone. It's not so much that like those people are still going to be alone, but they will still be a lot more isolated because even though they were alone before, now they're going to be even more alone because or at least that's my sense of it because now there's even fewer people reaching out. Sorry, you're muted.
Yeah. Okay. So the one, it brings to mind my grandmother. She's 94. She has a cat. She lives in Colorado Springs, still drives. and very active, but very isolated. And she's one of the more vulnerable populations.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things we've been doing with her is having the telephone has always been her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's always on the phone. I think that's her job now. She starts at 7, we check in. She's on with friends, she's on with family, and she's on till like 11, off and on throughout the day, while she's doing her daily, whatever she's doing, her garden or in the house or whatever, running out, to get food and get back with the mask on, of course. So I think that even in that situation, we're saying we're alone, but we don't have to be, because there's so many
Yes.
different technological
Yes.
resources for us. And she actually has an i8 phone, and I've been like sending her pictures, and she's been playing with it, and she found the pictures, and I did a FaceTime. She answered it, and she was on the FaceTime, and she saw me, and I was able to show her my new house in Vegas, and she lives in Colorado. So it was really nice, and if I'm doing that with a 94-year-old woman, I mean, what's possible?
Mhm.
That
And
is true.
absolutely,
Go
and
ahead.
absolutely, I've seen more people, and then the whole thing is that people also taking more time to connect with people that they normally would not call, because especially during the pandemic, because so and so was so busy, you could never get a hold of this person back in the days. And now with the pandemic, now even parents becoming teachers, and then you finally getting to know your child. And I even get some interesting story where some parents would say, I don't know why the teacher is saying my child can sit still until they become their own child's parent teachers. They're like, oh, my child cannot sit still at home. So it's been an interesting twist this year. And like Tori is saying, like staying away from TV, especially the news and the negative thing. The news is rarely positive. I have yet to see the news saying, oh, this happened today and there was a great thing. It's always some kind of negative thing that happened, some kind of anything negative happen, it will be in the news. So if people are watching TV, I would tell people that, why don't you catch up on some of those shows that you hear everybody talking about, but you never had a chance to watch? Those Netflix shows, those Prime shows, because that would be a good time to choose what you want in your environment. It could be some romantic movies, some historic movies, anything that will keep your mind engaged and as Tori was saying, it's like you say in creation, it's true. It is a good time to maybe even find a hobby, to learn a new thing. I decided to learn a new language during the pandemic. I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
I'll put
Oh,
on.
what'd you learn? What'd you learn? And I want to hear
I
something in
started
that
learning
language.
Serbian.
Okay. Okay.
Serbian. So
As
it's kind of
much
very
as I think,
difficult.
it's annoying and frustrating when people say, "Oh, you're Haitian. Say something in Creole. Say something in Serbian."
Kako say. That's basically how you're doing. So it's just learning new things. It's a good thing. And also even games, because you have the kids at home, especially for those of us who are parents. So you have to engage them in doing
Mhm.
something because they can go out. You're trying to keep them staying put and keep them together. So I've learned, I play Scrabble, bilingual Scrabble now. I do
Okay.
French, English, depending what languages is come first. So it's a lot of things that you finally getting to know your kids. So there's some good side to it, but of course there's
Yeah.
some negative sides to it.
Well, what Doc One says, parenting is such a gift. This virtual learning has enhanced my child's performance. And that's another thing I've heard a lot about, like people saying how the opportunity and children having that one-on-one, that opportunity to have someone teach them has been such a great thing for kids. So, but as you were talking, one of the things that I always recommend that people do is get creative. Like one of my standing appointments now is I have my friends' kids. One day I went to the house and they were just hanging out and watching, like playing on some kind of device. And I decided, okay, we're going to watch my car and we're going to write on it. And so now it was, I thought it was a one time thing. Now I have an appointment to go. I got to go there Saturday. I have an appointment. So it's like getting creative and just being able to get out there and has been a blessing because now, like their kids, they look forward when I come to that house for something other than to wash my car. It's like, why are you here? If we can't wash your car, what's the point of you being here? Like I get that look.
I
So
need to find these kids too.
no, but you have to be willing to let them write on your car.
Right?
Yes. I have markers and they write whatever they want, like they write whatever they want on the windows, on the back windows. So and they get excited when they know what people said about their drawing. So they'll wash your car. You just gotta let them write on it after they're done.
That's fun. Another thing I think is really, getting in touch with nature. I live in Las Vegas, so we have a lot of mountains and a lot of
Mhm.
hiking. There's a lot of hiking. And I have a fire pit, and I've been doing a lot of work around my fire, and setting the fire and really getting into the different roots and sages they have and all the different things that are out there. And just, discovering the beauty of sitting with the fire and the full moon and,
Yeah.
the wind is blowing and, we don't get much rain, but, just getting back to nature and
Yes.
really walking around and looking at the trees and looking at the sky and just appreciating, all of you can do that alone. You can do that with your mask. You can do that without people around you. And you have a sense of freedom just to be able to go to a really beautiful park or go to the ocean and the beach, even though it may be a little chilly. Who cares? If it's raining, who cares? Get your umbrella. But just to be out and get that body moving and get, all of those beautiful natural elements of the earth, just come that really clears. They say 30 minutes of sun or of light outside a day will keep that depression and anxiety down. Just having that on your body is healthy, and it definitely, research shows that it really reduces a lot of those self-limiting beliefs and sad feelings.
I'm just gonna say it's easy for Tori to say who cares if it's raining because it rains like twice a year where she lives.
Yeah.
So, I but I do agree with you. When during the pandemic, the when everything closed, there's one federal property. I'm not gonna name it because I don't want people going there when I'm trying to go.
Okay.
I'm gonna be selfish about that. But when everything closed, a lot of the places, the federal properties remained open, and there's a national preserve. Arthur Marshall, please do not go there. Arthur Marshall was one of the few places that stayed open, and I could go there and walk for 2 whole hours, just me. And the good thing about it was that I actually did not need a mask
Right.
because I could go 2 hours and not see another person. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. There were no humans around. So, but I got the sun I needed. I got the fresh air. I got that. And it kind of, I didn't have to be out and about and doing all sorts of the stuff that puts us at risk. And yes, no matter how I felt going there, after being out in the sun for a little bit,
Yeah.
it was refreshing.
It is. It's
Yeah.
rejuvenating. It really is. I think also, creating those hobbies and getting back to some things that you always wanted to do, you never had time to do because you always had something else to do. But now that you're in the house, you can paint or, needle stitch or learn how to play chess or, Monopoly has been sold out. I mean, everybody in the world is playing Monopoly now. And I played that as a child growing up in New York City. So it's like all of those old games, Twister and, Canada, everybody buying out all these old games. And it's kind of like restoring that like Peter Pan, Tinkerbell in me, right? And we get to return to that little girl or little boy that forgot. It's about remembrance. It's really a time of remembering
Yes.
who we were and the goodness and the whole perfect and complete of us, the authentic us, that we forget it because life is so busy. Like you said, the doctor Miriam said, life is just moving too fast, like a roller coaster, and the
And I
pandemic
think
stopped.
yes. And it brings us to our core values because for a while, people, and even like teenagers, they were barely talking to their parents. And I really thought that the teens were going to be happy with this pandemic because they can spend all the time on social media because everything is electronic, everything. But I was so surprised that they were still longing for this connection, those physical connection that's beyond just texting, and then the whole FaceTime. I know that in my family, what we've been doing, because most of them live in Canada, we've been celebrating birthday on Zoom. So we make a meeting on Zoom meeting, so we celebrate the birthday. So like we're all there together. And then like you're saying, Tori, the nature, that's a very important thing. There's a lot of trails, by the way. Yours is not the only one, that there's quite a few open up in the northern part of the Palm Beach
Yes.
where you can go for a walk. And it's true. Most of the time, you don't even have to wear a mask because you're outside. And normally, I would keep the mask somewhere. If somebody crossed, then I'll put it back on and then just keep walking. And and really, you see nature has been breathing also, because I think in Chicago they had like um wild animals crossing the streets. They were probably saying, wow, those humans are finally inside so we can go out and enjoy ourselves, because we were a threat to them.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
finally they get to breathe, they get to finally be part of the ecosystem. So that's kind of it's been interesting for that, and definitely finding new things to do. I always wanted to do yoga, never had time to do yoga because I always had something else. But now I finally in the morning find time to put the on the YouTube, on TV, be able to do my stretch and then do different things that before I always had an excuse how I didn't have to. So now
You know,
you find the time.
that's a good point. But when you were saying that, what came to my mind is like, what about the people that are in the depression? And everything we're saying, they're like, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I have no,
Mhm.
I can't get out of the bed. I don't want to take a bath. I don't care. I don't want to live. If I died and didn't wake up, I'd be okay with it. And they're not telling anybody. And they may be very full functioning people, successful people. They're just in the closet with it. I say to those people, you know, I think connection and community is everything. And I think that the only way we're going to get through this is creating more of community and having more accountability. And I think we need to get a little pushy with it.
Yes.
If I know someone that's connected to me doesn't sound right in their voice, is not being in touch as much as they used to, is isolating, is something's going on, then I'm going to rally around who I know that knows that person, or if I know that person, I may send them a card, a gift package. My cousin recently was diagnosed with cancer, and in Maryland, and my other cousin recently lost his mother yesterday, who's 104. So he took really good care of her. And so, I'm going to send a gift bag because I know what they like, right? And I know that even when they get it, even though they're sad, I know what goodies they like because I know them. And so, things like that, sending cards, another thing I was thinking about, people always want what you have that is yours and they admire it. And maybe starting to detach from being attached to things and regifting things that, like I had some jewelry and a sweater that my mother just loved it and she wanted it. Putting it in a box and mailing it to her, and she's going, that's that sweater I always wanted. Just
Tori, I like your bank balance. It's really pretty.
It's not going to work, right,
You
Tori?
muted yourself. You muted yourself. I couldn't hear you. Stop muting yourself.
letting go,
Huh?
go.
I don't know why, but you keep trying to talk and you keep muting
Yes.
yourself.
Oh,
Oh.
She's probably saying something she didn't want you to hear.
that's it. That's it. That's it.
Some kind of
Okay.
nice
That's
words.
it. That's
Oh,
it.
I'm just letting her know that I like her cash. It's pretty. Before we move on, let me say hi to a couple people. We've talked, Doc One has been engaging, thank you. And we've had the one and only Al Jaquette has joined us for the first time. Hey, hi Al, and we have Vicky is a returner. Vicky's been on a couple of different lives, and she's been very engaged as well. So hi Vicky, hi Doc, hi Al. One of the things that Al was saying is that there are so many opportunities to expand our learning and deepen relationships. Learn something new, reconnect with self and nature. Glad I tuned in. See, had you been tuning in, you would be getting all sorts of good stuff like that, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But,
and like you were saying, Tori, about reaching out to others. If there's one thing we learned during this pandemic is that we're not isolated. We're not so far away from each other as human beings. So if you have someone that you know they're alone, you know that they normally don't have anybody that's going to visit them, whether it's an elderly, especially the elderly population, that they are more vulnerable, that they've been telling them to stay home. Um, if you're going for grocery shopping and you know this person is home, they're not able to go, just pick up a phone, say, hey, I'm going grocery shopping. I can pick up a few things for you. What can I pick up and drop in front of your house? That alone will make you feel better and also will make a difference in someone else's life. So it's really good to be observant of our environment, to know who's around us. If you have a neighbor, you haven't seen them out, just, putting a little note to ask them how's everything going, texting, calling, and reaching out to someone else to kind of be a blessing to someone else. Because like you say, Tori.
Let me tell you this story. It's funny. My grandmother, okay, she doesn't want to go out, right? Sometimes I'm cold, I can't move, I'm aching, this, that, the other. So we ordered all her food at Walmart together. So she makes the grocery list, and then I get on the internet and I'm on the phone with her and I'm ordering it. And then it all comes, and then they forget several things. So then the next day we do it again. So this is like a little fun thing we do. And then the last time we did it, the third day, she forgot to look on the porch and the food was there. And if it wasn't for my nephew coming by, she said they didn't bring my food again. So it's so much fun, the fun that we're having doing all this, connection on the phone, doing the ordering, sending. I've been sending my mother and all my family in Florida for their birthdays. I email Publix a cake, some sparkling red apple cider, some flowers, and Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and it's at their door. And I'm like, go downstairs and answer your door. So we've been having a ball with this.
Yes.
See, you guys mentioned taking care of each other. One of the things that for me has been a thing and is checking on the strong. Because we more often than not, we hear people talking about, hey, reach out to the elderly, check on the people that are not doing well. But I find that as a society, we rely and expect the strong people to be strong and take on everybody else's stuff. And no one ever comes and says, hey, strong person who's always there for me, how are you doing? Like that, for me, that's one thing that I would like people to get and hear and actually do, because for me, I find that they're even more vulnerable because they're taking on everybody else's stuff, because everybody feels, oh, that's Judy, she can handle it, I'm gonna put all my stuff on her. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so what are we doing to make sure that the strong people in our circle are taken care of, to make sure that they're going to be around and they're going to be able to still stay and be strong and, continue doing what they do. So for me, that's something that I think is important.
That's a good point, because a lot of time those people are us. People that, whenever you say you're in the mental health field, it's like the vase is like the book opens.
Yes.
Let me tell you. And then the people want to tell you all the problem.
Yes.
I have a funny story where where I used to live before, and I would come home, and then this guy knew I was a psychologist, So every time I would come, he would be like not too far from the entrance, outside of his garage, waiting to tell me something. No, nothing weird, nothing weird. Waiting to tell me his problems, and I'm like, oh my god, I just had a whole day of listening to people's problems. I don't want to hear when I get home. So at one point, and it's true, like we're talking about this, the people that they think that we are so strong we can handle
Mhm.
all the world's problem, but no, we're human just like everyone else. We need a
Yes.
break from this also. We need people to pamper us sometime. So in order for me to get away from him telling me about his problems, I had to tell him, I'm a psychologist, right? He's like, yeah. I said, do you know how I get paid? He's like, how? I said, people talk to me and they pay me. Trust me, he didn't have that many problems anymore. So that's a good way that he was like, basically, you talk to me, I'm gonna send you a bill. But all joke, yes, I do like to help people with helping with that solving the problem. But of course, we also need a place where we can also vent to someone. And people
Yeah.
think that because we give advice to others, that our life is perfectly fine. You'll be
Right.
surprised to see that's not all perfectly fine.
I think I work as a licensed clinical social worker embedded in the Air Force in a rescue unit with helicopter rescue. So, our mission is to get the body and get it out, and whatever we have to do. So, working in the Air Force is a real family culture. So it's interesting for me because it's all about resilience, and we are resilient. And it's so I've been home for like 3 days on vacation and all next week, and they've been checking on me. How's your new house? How's it going? You need any help? All of the unit,
Mhm.
the airmen and the unit members. So I think it's for me being a strong, powerful, wise, leader, on this planet, it's my responsibility to be accountable. And I live in distinctions. So I know that one distinction for me is to be vulnerable and not, and not arrogant or prideful or, self-righteous, or when that comes up in my ego and my ego wants to, take control, I get to live in my heart space and say, no, you're not doing it today. So I do have these internal dialogue conversations with myself. And I think that because I'm the person that I am, I create an energy of people checking in on me. It's something that I generate. And so for me being as strong as I am, they're going to check on me if they don't hear from me because I've created that in the way of my energy with them and my relationship with them. So, to thine own self be true and do your own work, and you be on the couch, and so shall you have that reciprocated to you as a mirror.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Runner YG says, "Hi, thanks for the advice." So Runner was listening to you.
Thank you, Ryan.
um, one of the things that I know is happening right now is that, or has been happening, is that depression has been super, super duper high. I, normally, it's like I think it's about. It used to be 1 in 6. It used to be 1 in 7, and then jumped to 1 in 6. The other day, earlier this year, it was 1 in 5. And I looked at a couple. There was one study. I think I want to say I can't remember if it was the CDC or NIH. One of the federal health agencies did something where it was where it was I think it was like close to 40%. And I read something in passing recently that kind of said it was going over 40%. So like nearly half the country is experiencing some level of depression and anxiety. But one of the other things that I know usually happens is that we've created this: you're too strong, you're too this, you're too that, you can't have that. What can you like how do people reach out in a society that says no, you're not allowed to have issues? Like,
I don't know. I think that people are reaching out. I mean, when we had all that recent in COVID, we had all that protesting and all the young people, and then the elders. My grandmother was watching, and you know, everybody was reacting and responding on all sides. So I think that I think that a lot of times I question the validity sometimes of the numbers. Um, I think, everything is always going to be more and over the top. But I think that individually, you know, if people, I mean, it's valid that we be anxious. It's valid. I think it's valid that we be depressed or angry or scared with what's going on in
Yeah.
every aspect of the United States of America. I think all the feelings are valid, and I say they need to start acknowledging the feelings. You don't have to run. Like I always say, feelings never play by the rules, and they never will. And a feeling has a story, and we're like monkeys. We're meaning making machines. We're always making meaning out of something. We get in the car, we make up we're going to get there on time. If we don't get there on time and someone did something, we make up a story about that. We're making up stories all the time. We're meaning making machines. But I think that the feeling, acknowledging the feeling, and what story you have connected to the feeling generates the emotion that generates the behavior, whether it be positive or negative. So I think everything in life starts with a thought. And in the thought is where we have choice. We have choice and a choice. I know that sounds a little odd, but we have a choice within the choice of the choosing. So I think that the acknowledgement and the awareness sometimes is all you need, because then you shift an energy in yourself, becoming aware of something you don't like, aware of something, of anything, and acknowledging that awareness, and then all your energy shifts in such a way that things start to change. Whether you like it or not, it will change. Try it and see what I'm talking about, because I'm talking real talk here.
And you're totally right about that. It's a perception. Normally, I tell people your perception become your reality. The way you're looking at it is really what becomes more and more your reality. I like to use the analogy of the bottle half empty, half full, to say that if you're looking at half empty, you're right. Half full, you're still right. It's just what you choose, like you're saying to me, what you choose to look at, the way you're looking at it. And when you're talking about the studies, Judy, I would say two things. One thing about that I know about research and studies is that most of the time studies are made toward one segment of the population. Chances are, if the research are reporting more about one segment of the population that is not culturally representative of the whole population, more likely middle class, Caucasian, those are people that are more likely being surveyed compared to African American, Haitian, Hispanics, or whatever. And it may represent more that a segment of the population that you see more compared to other culture who are more community based, because you realize that the African American community, our community, Haitian community, we're more community based. When something goes wrong, you talk to the pastor, you talk to somebody, you talk to someone, instead of trying to medicalize everything, your emotion. I'm not saying that depression doesn't exist. It does exist, and some people are dealing with major depressive disorder. But I've also seen where I've had people coming in a week after they lose a loved one say, I need to see a psychiatrist. I need to get on medication because I'm dealing with depression. And I had to educate them, no, you're not dealing with depression. You're dealing with grief. It is normal. It is painful. It's not fun, but we're not in a depression state yet. Let's leave time and let's start working on the therapy part to try to, because it's like it's a void. When you lose someone, there's a hole that the person had a place in your life. They had a space that they occupied. Now it's like you pulling a tree out. Of course, there's a hole, and you feeling that void, you feeling that hole. But that doesn't mean you're depressed. That doesn't mean you have major depressive disorder yet. It depends of, like you're saying, your choices. If you choose to have a good the memory that you have with this person of something more positive, like having, of course you're gonna have sadness. It's normal. If you love someone, you will be sad when they're gone. So, but at the same time, you can also uh, um, respect their memory by doing things, by having people talking to you about them, doing something that you used to enjoy to do with this person, cooking something that this person used to enjoy. So these are the ways so that we don't all medicalize, we don't all diagnose people with all kinds of problems um, when they don't really have those problems. Of course, those who have the problem, we have to address it. And even though I work alongside a lot with psychiatrists, I don't believe in medication for everything. I believe that we have the resiliency within us to heal ourselves, and of course, with some help from psychotherapists, LCSW psychologists, we can walk this walk without thinking that we have to numb the pain. Because sometimes we're in a society where we want to numb the pain. We don't like pain, but pain is part of life,
Right.
unfortunately.
I want to speak to that before I lose my thought. I'm older than you. I'll be 58 soon. Um, you know, one of the things I think you were talking about was, like you don't believe in the medications all the time. I believe that I'm the medicine. I am medicine, and I can heal myself. But there are times when you go through a loss and you lost your job, someone died, you broke up with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and you're having panic attacks, or you might take a little bit of Lexapro for 6 or 9 months. I want people to know that sometimes it's very okay to take a little bit of antidepressants to get you over the hump when you have a lot going on. Work is stressful, you don't like your job, someone dies, you broke up with your boyfriend, you have to move in with your parents. That's a lot of things at the same time, and sometimes it can be too much. We need a little help. Take the edge off. You may go to a therapist. You may, if you don't can't go to a therapist, you may go to a 12-step meeting. They have Emotions Anonymous, Codependency Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous. They have uh, uh, Family Anonymous. They have all kinds of self-help groups. You can dial that 211, I think, in Florida, and just talk to somebody if you're lonely. You know what I mean? It's there for you. There's so many other ways. You get on the medicine, you get off the medicine in 6, 9 months, your life gets better, things get better, and you just had it enough to take the edge off. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The other piece is, you know, um, doing things like salt water baths. If you don't have hypertension, of course, salt water bath, immersion in salt water, bubble baths, drinking those nice soothing teas, melatonin, St. John's wort, the natural herbal, more medicinal, holistic medicines, doing Reiki, massages, breath work, Kundalini yoga, breath work, getting into more of the holistic parts of body, doing a lot of going and having body work done. They're able to do that now with the mask, one on one. Because they're taking your temperature, they're asking you where you've been, they're screening you before you go. So, there's no reason why. And I think we're getting back into like the bartering system. If I'm a massage therapist and you do this, can we barter? We can create and enroll anybody in anything that we want to do. I want to let all of the listeners know you are the greatest enroller, because if right now I'm enrolling you in my conversation and you're listening, and then if you start to talk, you're enrolling me in yours. So we are the co-creators of this planet, and we get to have whatever we want. We get to have it. We don't have to. I'm complete.
One of the things Miriam was talking, I agree. I am one of those people where I'm also not a big fan of medication, but I will be the first one to tell someone maybe you should consider it. Because a lot of times what I find is that the medication, sometimes a person needs it in order to be able to get to that point where they can do the work. And one of the biggest ones for that, because I do a lot of work with people with ADHD,
Yes.
and like most people, there's been so much talk and so much bad mouthing of ADHD meds, especially after people started using it as a recreational drug. So, like, I agree with you 100%. We should not be medicating everything,
I
but there
got
are
And it's a
diagnosed at 50.
balance. I think what
yes,
we have to
yeah,
understand
definitely.
is it's a
Yeah.
balance,
Yeah.
because and also where I work, what we do in a comprehensive behavioral health program is
Hmm.
that you're not going to be seen only taking medication without doing therapy, even for kids
Yes.
with ADHD, because we believe that even though it's true, ADHD medication is the key. It definitely works. But at the same time, if you have a child that the brain is developing, you can help them with
Yes.
time management to kind of structure that brain, because the
Hmm.
brain is still developing until the age of 21, 22. We can kind of help them structure themselves to a
Yeah.
point that with the medication is even more, the efficacy is even better.
Hmm.
Anxiety.
I got diagnosed at 50 with ADHD, and I
Wow.
don't take medicine. Can't you guys tell I'm interrupting, right? Uh, and I don't take the medicine. I do the coffee. And it's so interesting because they wanted to put me on Ritalin and Adderall and all these, and it was driving me crazy. I can't be on this, making my teeth clench. And what I realized is, wow, I get to embrace this ADHD and be friends with it and
Yeah.
know that some days it's going to
Mhm.
get me and sometimes I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And so I've learned and managed how to, like, we have this little dance that we do. So it is possible.
Yes.
I love what both of you said about it, because it's so true. But I wanted to add that because I think people don't realize that
Yes.
people can have it and not be medicated.
Yes.
Some
Absolutely.
need it. My grandson has to have it.
Yeah.
One thing that I what and I'm sure for I don't know what you're doing, but one thing that I have seen like with ADHD specifically is that people actually with with pretty much anything mental health that people start taking medication for, they get into that, oh, it's going well, and what do you call it, so I can stop the meds. That is very true.
Yes.
You
And
can
that's the
always stop the meds. However, once you stop the meds, in order to stay where you are, it requires a lot more work. And sometimes I think people are not prepared. People think that I'm going to stop the meds and continue to operate and do the same level of work I was doing before. Like when I've had clients with ADHD who stop meds, when they stop meds, one of the things they had to do is up like double sometimes their behavioral piece in order to be able to maintain. It's like, hey, there's no more medication helping you. So now you gotta, it's kind of like you, when you decide, okay, I'm not using a wheelbarrow anymore. Just because you decide to get out of the wheelbarrow does not mean that that box is gonna move itself.
and that's what's important about, really approaching it in a holistic way,
Mm-hmm.
because even I have a 17-year-old son. When he was much younger, in starting middle school, I finally agreed and then had him tested, and he had attention deficit disorder, mostly the in the inattention part of it. But I worked with him, worked on his time management, work on the, and right now in high school, he took medication for a while in middle school all the way to
Mm-hmm.
the start of high school. But for the past 3 years, I even asked him, "Do you need to be on the medication?" He said, "No, I'm okay. I can do this." And he
Mm-hmm.
has been doing it. So it's
Yeah.
true that it is true, the medication, and the way I explain to people when I do see a client, a patient, I explain to them, it's really, we're going to be balancing it, meaning that in the beginning you may not have, like you're saying, Tori, if a person is going through a lot of stressors at the same time, it could be too overwhelming that they're not able to move, they're paralyzed, they don't know what to do, where to start, because it's too much at the same time. A little medication will help you undo the knot to feel,
Mm-hmm.
be able to say, okay, I'm going to do that direction first. And then, but along the side is, that's why the therapy is so important, because it helps you develop those coping skills. And as you increase the coping skill, probably the medication will lower down.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then as you get to a point where you are your own healer, you have the resiliency within yourself. Unfortunately, life sometimes beat us up so bad that we forget that we have that capacity to heal ourselves, and that we have to reach out to others. And then for people that are listening, you have to understand that you're not alone in this situation. Um, Even though you may not have diagnosed depression, but everybody experience sadness in their life. Everybody experience some kind of level of mood destabilizing situation at one point in their life. And it's to know that you can reach out to others. Whether you're a strong person, you're a CEO of a company, very powerful person, you can still reach out to someone, whether if it's somebody, your sister, a cousin, it doesn't have to be mental health professional. Just being able to talk to someone, to reach out to someone, it's gonna,
Mhm.
it's gonna help you instead of feeling that you're on your by yourself dealing with this. You're the only person dealing with this. That's not the case. A
Yeah.
lot more people.
Before we move forward, let me just what runner YG says, I have ADHD and running helps a lot. And that's one of those things that I've found is that a lot of people have what do you call it? Have had to pick up something. I know one person that she started really getting into the physical fitness and going to the gym, and that helped her a lot. So just having an outlet, just not just, hey, yeah, I'm not taking medication. And she says she or he says that they've never taken medication. But like you, I've been hearing a lot about the coffee. Like you, she says, I never took meds, but I love coffee. And we're international. We're international because Runner Right YG is in London. Hey, we're international. Hey. So Runner, she says that she loves coffee. I've been hearing a lot about the coffee. So that's one of those things that I need to do a little bit more research about because over the last maybe year or so, I've been hearing a lot about it. So I got to figure that out. Um, Earlier, one of the things that Vicky mentioned. Oh, my friend Regine is here. Hi, Regine. Um, One of the things that Vicky mentioned that many people are trying to deal with it on their own. That's when we started talking about the stress and the depression. And she says, I speak with a couple of women from my mental health ministry daily, and they have no one to reach out to that they trust. That's a thing. That's a definite thing.
But wait a
There.
minute. But wait a minute. They are reaching. How does she know that if they're not talking to her?
That is true. That they are
Because
reaching.
sometimes, because sometimes I think we think it's that the answer's not there and it's right there in front of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These women are reaching out to her and letting her know. If she knows, then she can be creative and or get them to be creative
Hmm.
and set up a weekly women's group where they just get together and vent. They get together and cook dinner and eat and watch a movie. They get together and drink wine, or they get together and they babysit each other's kids, and then one gets to go out and have
Hmm.
some respite time. My mother grew up a single parent in New York. My parents went to NYU and City College, and they were always studying and everything when we were children, and they always would get together, and we would go over someone's house so they could go out and have some fun, or vice versa. So there's many creative ways
Mhm.
that you can get women together, and really get them in a circle. I used to do a lot of HIV and AIDS at the comprehensive AIDS program, and I used to educate all the Black churches and the projects when Carver Estates was still alive and all the other projects that shut down. And I would always be about getting those women in those programs together to be more of a service to one another. And we created a lot of beautiful communal work there with the women. And I worked for the Urban League in West Palm Beach, and we created the trust program in the middle schools, and I was in charge of taking in leaders for the male trust program and the female trust program in Delray and up at Bear Lakes Middle School. And it was powerful, getting the women, all of the men together and the women together. And I was bringing like local business leaders and successors so they could see that they could become, a beautician, own their own shop, own their own business, become, a real estate agent or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it was. It didn't matter what it was. So I think that, her question was great, but I think she's already in the solution because she's saying they're coming to me and they're talking to me. So she gets to take that and run with it.
Oh, guess what? Vicky, she just said she grew up in Carver Estates.
Tori Hodge, when I came and did the the outfit.
You muted before you started talking.
Ask her, does she remember Tori Hodge? I came to the community there to do
She's
the
listening to you. Ask her yourself. She's here.
I brought dinner. We did T-shirts. We passed out condoms. We had fun. I paid everybody. This was years ago when Miss Ellington was the head of Carver Estates.
Oh, I don't remember. I think my Carver Estates was. I don't even know if it was still Carver Estates at the time. I know when I worked at Village, we did a lot of work with families, or in some families from Carver Estates had their children attending Village. So yeah, but I never really got to get in there until it became, I think, Auburn Trace or something, whatever the new one is. But cool. But I am 100% with you on there. But what other things can people do? Because that is, especially with the internet, because now people are getting to a lot of times people do have that issue with trust. And yeah, I love that they can come to Vicky. She says she doesn't remember Mrs. Ellington. So that was probably after her, or before or after your time or something. So a lot of times one of the things that we're having is that it feels we're looking for that connection, but Vicky, you are enough as a person. I'm not saying you're not enough. Vicky, you are enough as a person, and it sounds like you're awesome. But Vicky is not enough to handle all of it.
Well, I think you have to be really in the conversation of being with those women individually and asking them, what are they really willing, what risk are they really willing to take?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to call 3 girlfriends a week? Are you willing to get together with those 3 girlfriends in a big, community room, sit 6 feet apart, and just get together and plan something? What are you willing to do? Just, you take one step and then sometime it takes off. It starts with one word, starts with one sentence, starts with a paragraph. So you just have to start somewhere.
Absolutely. And also, you have to remember, one person will not be everything to you.
Yeah.
And then, even if you think about, let's say, for those of you in a relationship, your partner will not be everything to you. He could be the person that you sharing intimacy with, or a level of relationship. But you probably have a friend that you can call. You have a friend that makes you laugh. So when you need a good laughter, that's the person you call, and they're gonna make all kind of silly jokes and make you laugh until you drop. And you can have a friend that, if you want to say something very and like something that you want to keep as a secret, something that you want to keep in confidence, that's the person you call for this level. I always tell, there is no such thing as I can depend 100% on Judy to be there for me all the time, and to drop everything to be there for me. If I need Judy for something, if I need a connection about something related to our profession, I know I can call Judy. I can text Judy. I will find the information to her, something that she's done. If I'm looking for somebody to give me some good jokes, I have a friend for that.
I'm funny too.
I know you can do the jokes too. I'll call you for the jokes.
I'm just
So, not one person will be everything for you. So
mm-hmm.
that's why it's really important to really branch out. I know sometimes we've been hurt. People that have been hurt, it's hard for them to trust someone else. I know it's hard. It's a process that you have to go through. But the same way, we learn from our mistakes, and that person who hurts you probably sometimes don't even know that they hurt you, unless you tell them, okay, what you did was hurtful to me. And if the person know they hurt you and continue to hurt you, absolutely keep away from that person, and then look for a way to heal, because we all make mistakes. We all gonna learn from our mistakes. So nobody's perfect. Expect people to let you down sometime. That's something to expect. You're not going to have one person who's going to be there 100% for you. So it's really, like you're saying, be willing to take the risk and meet new people and test the water. And that's really what's going to let you out of your shell.
Yeah. One of the things we got to remember too, in transformational languaging, one of the easiest things to do is make an intention.
Mm-hmm.
And when you verbalize that
Yes.
intention from your thought and you verbalize the intention to the universe, to all of everything around me, then the universe hears it and then things start to come. And you go,
Yes.
wow, look at that. I did, wow, look at that. And then, people want to say it's this and that, but we're very powerful people and we have a lot of power and we just don't acknowledge it. One of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I wanted to say too is that learning to sit, like if you were in a group, sit your shame on the right side, your anger, your sadness, your depression. One of the reasons why people become those things is because they judge the feeling. Soon as you go into judgment of the feeling, you become the feeling and you're
Yeah.
no longer Tory. I am anger. I am shame. I am guilt. I am sadness. I am depression. I am resentment. So I think that we need to teach people that this new languaging and this new way of processing it is possible, that you can actually get in a space of no judgment of the
Mhm.
feeling that you're having and just be with the feeling as if it was advising you on something. It was your teacher for something to make you better. And then that really erases fear, it erases anxiety, it erases depression. It's like, oh, hey, depression, what are you teaching me today? What is this? I don't have to become you, but I know you're here. I
Yeah.
acknowledge you. I know you don't stay. I know medicine can help, and I know sometimes you linger, but you're not always there because my life has been different at different times. I've had moments of bliss, moments of happiness, moments of giddiness, moments of just silliness. So that, it's not all the time. I just wanted to say that because you kind of pressed me up with.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
Thank you for
was
And
saying
that's I definitely agree with you because we don't want people to think that they are whatever the diagnosis says they are. Because even people who have ADHD, there's very smart people, very uh like you're thinking about, because when you think about it, the brain is processing information very fast. That's basically what ADHD is. So you can imagine somebody who has ADHD, definitely smart because they're processing so many bits of information at the same time. But the only thing is classifying it so that it all makes sense. But you are not what the doctors say, oh, ADHD, oh, I can't do this because I have this. No. Same thing with bipolar. People who are diagnosed with bipolar, when they're in a manic episode, they can write a book in no time
Mhm.
if they have that ability to write
Yeah.
whatever. So you can take it like you're saying, Tori, take it as it is. Don't have any judgment on it. Unfortunately, ourselves as mental health professional, when somebody comes see you, because of the way the profession is made and the way the billing system is made, you got to give them a diagnosis. But you are not the diagnosis. You are who you are. You are the person that you are, and that only tells you a little bit of the color. It's a colorful part of your life that makes the puzzle of who you are. So being by having the diagnosis of bipolar tells you when you're in a mining episode, you are you can rock it.
Higher.
You can be very creative and then make any kind of art piece or write a book in no
What
time.
one
And
of
you
my
talked about the balance, Dr. Miriam, and I think this is something that people don't think about. Every human being has a feminine energy and a masculine energy. And we need to learn how to marry the feminine and masculine within us. We live in a patriarchal system that is all about systems and structures and control. So I think that, with masculine energy, it's fast, it's fire, it's intellect, it's quick, it's get it done, let's task it. But we forget to be. And that's the feminine energy in men and the feminine energy in women. Being means we're just the space. We're the ocean. We're the soil. We're the masculine is the mountain, father sky, mother moon, mother earth, everything has and I think that's real important because if we're always in the masculine, we're going to be worn out, stressed out, down and out all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sorry, Miriam, you were muted for a minute. Oh, so one of the things that I was gonna say is one of my missions in life in on the internet as a mental health professional, as a Judy, as a in this here world, is to get people to stop the use of diagnoses as a description of people. Like, and if you watch my videos, you will see that people are not ADHD. Like, and I totally make that face because that is one of those things that I hate when people like, she's bipolar, she's ADHD, I'm like, if if you want to hear me, like, if you really want to get one of the Judy faces, say one of those things. That's one of the things that bothers me a lot. That whole identifying people as a disorder, and as you were talking, Miriam, in one of my recent videos, I talked to, I think it was like 5 ADHD myths or something like that, or something that 5 things people say about ADHD that's not true. And one of the things that I mentioned was how people think or say that people with ADHD are not smart or less smart than others. And I believe it has been my experience. Most people with ADHD I have met are brilliant, more brilliant than most other people I know. And some of them definitely way more brilliant than I am. So it's like, I don't know. I just had to say that. But let me say hi to a couple people. When we get into these conversations, sometimes it's hard to get the chat in there. But yes, let me see. I Runner G Runner G, they were saying how 30 years ago, before that was okay. I gotta read that whole comment, that thread, so I could understand where we are. Vicky, before I even talk about any of that, what Vicky put out in the universe, in the internet verse, is that she would like to figure out how fit. I really wish I could get these ladies to reach out to professionals. That's what she would like. What can she do? I mean, like, any thoughts, any recommendations?
First, I think that she needs to meet them where they are first, because they may not have health care to pay for it. They may not have that extra money to pay for it, because therapists cost money. And if you don't have insurance, you're still paying $30 a copay. And some single women with kids don't have $30. They need it for something else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what ends up having to happen is maybe she can find out, like, get some resources and start to do her research and find out who will do a pro bono. Licensed clinical social workers are supposed to at least do one pro bono, a year, and find out if they're interested. Can you afford it? Do you have health care? Do you have the copay? Can you afford to see the therapist? And if you do you have the time to go? Because if they have kids and they don't have a babysitter and they can't leave the children there, then that's not going to be possible either. So I think it's a number of factors that you have to do your research. You have to meet the women where they are, get to know them, figure out what they can and cannot do. And then you can start to do your research, Vicky, and get a list of social workers that would do pro bono or do 30 minutes a week or check-ins or some coaching. Sometimes the women just need coaching validation. They just need to know that they have someone there that can guide them, that doesn't judge them, that they feel safe. Coaching is a really beautiful distinction from therapy, because coaching is about the way that they coach you is you get to observe yourself within yourself, and then things come up for you in that very presence. It's ontology. So it's a study of beingness. So coaching can be sometimes just what they need, just that. And there's a lot of people that do a lot of coaching in West Palm Beach, and they may even do it for, $30 or $20 an hour. So I think that's the place she needs to start. And Dr. Marion probably could add to that.
And also, I've seen sometime if she already has the group set up already, she could invite somebody. And sometimes she'll find a therapist that will come to the group and co-facilitate the group. Especially now, if you are on Zoom, WebEx, where you can have somebody who would give pro bono for an hour of their time to listen to these women and answer their questions. So they get to meet a therapist, because sometimes if you never met a therapist, you have this idea of this person who's going to be judging you, or you may have
How does that make you
all
feel?
kinds of afraid of them, because they think that they're going to be telling you something, they're going to read through you, and all kinds of myth about psychotherapists. But by just meeting one, I know I've been invited to some group sometime where I go and I just go and talk about mental health, and then I listen to them. I don't even prepare anything when I go to those groups. So when I go groups like that, I just go there, listen to what they have to say, what they want to talk about, and then co-facilitate with them so that they can see it's not as scary as people think.
Mm-hmm.
So just bring it, make it accessible to a certain
Yeah.
level.
One of the other things that I don't know what kind of line of work that the women in Vicky's groups are, but dear EAP managers, people, can I please start getting a commission? Okay. One of the biggest things I've been really pushing and pretty much promoting is using employee assistance programs. And especially during the pandemic, I have seen how much they are approving in a lot more sessions. They are approving a lot more renewals. So for people for whom there's a need for seeing a mental health professional and the finances are the issue, I actually, 2 years ago, I did a video, 5 ways to get free therapy. One of the places I mentioned was the church, Vicky. So they're coming to you. But this year, that video kind of just chilled for 2 years. And this year it's getting at least 300+ views a month, which I don't think it got 300 views in the first 2 years. So people are looking for that stuff. One of the places that does help is your employee assistance program. And the other thing I said, again, EAP people, please send me my commission check. The other thing I say about is that EAP is not just in your job. So maybe your job does not have it, but your husband or your wife or your somebody else, actually that's the only two that counts, has a job that has it. Or maybe it's your child who's having the issue. Employee assistance programs, they cover the employee's spouse, as well as their children. So if anybody in your household who's on your taxes is having an issue, you guys can reach out to the employee assistance program, and that's a great way to get help, and it's a great way to get help and get free help. Runner YG says God helps. I agree. The other thing that we've identified, Runner YG is a man. He said, I am more than my ADHD. I am a baker and a salesman, etc. Can you send me
More power to you.
Send me some samples, and I'll tell you if you're a baker or just a baker. Right? Send me some samples.
He's trying to get some free cake.
Hey, you gotta try where you can.
He's feminine energy. He's creating. He's being with his hands. And
yeah, that is true.
I love it.
Let me say, Vicky Regine said some alone time, quiet the mind has helped. I meditate and I journal. I also take mindful walks alone as I plan my day. I love those. Absolutely. I love those. Give me a couple hours in a open field with nobody else. I love that. Francisca says hi, Miriam.
Hi.
She would say hi to you too, Tori, but she knows Miriam. But she meant hi. We're gonna visit London, and we're gonna go wherever Runner YG is, because Runner YG is also a good cook. So as soon as we're ready to get back on the plane, we're going to London. Francisca Imani, hi Imani. She says she's enjoying the conversation, and I saw Genevieve. Genevieve says hi. Okay. Okay. So we're pushing up on time.
Do they have any
Holidays.
questions though that they wanted? Do they have any questions that they wanted, or do they have anything that they want to share with us?
No one has put any questions. I'm continuing to monitor the chat. Anytime I see questions, I do bring them. Oh, Wanaraji was saying how meditation helps him find himself. Oh, yeah, I love that.
Yes,
With right now where we are, sometimes we see it happening, but the thing that most people do when they like, I noticed something's up with Miriam. So instead of approaching Miriam and say, "Hey, you've been a little odd, you've been a little off," I just kind of step back instead of going directly to her and ask her what's going on. Or if I notice that Miriam, if I'm thinking Miriam really should see a therapist, not specific, not anything in particular, just talking. So, how can people, or what can people do if they have this happening where they see that someone in their life needs to seek help, but is not ready or is not willing or has not noticed it? I know you can't make someone go to therapy, but how do you broach the conversation?
What I what I would do,
Yeah.
it really depends on your relationship with this person.
Mhm.
The same way we build rapport with our clients is the same way if you feel something has been different about someone, why don't you tell this person, hey, I'm going to come and cook with you this day if that's something you like to do. So you kind of get into their sphere, into their environment, so that this person, so you're not only coming and say, hey, I think you need to see a therapist, because definitely the person will push you back because they're
Mhm.
going to feel it's a judgment call. What are you trying to say? Something's wrong with me? And then, of course, they're going to push it back. But if you say, hey, listen, I haven't seen you for a while, seems like you've been busy doing other things. How about on Friday? I'll come by. We do pizza night, and you try to be into that person's environment. Because if you're outside of that and trying to penetrate and telling them what to do, it's not going to be a great conversation. But if you are in there while you're sitting there eating pizza, watching movies, and you'll be surprised, silence does wonder. When you're sitting with somebody, you're not talking about anything, they will open up to you because they are looking to tell somebody what's going on with them. So they will, as you're watching that movie, eating on a popcorn, pizza, or whatever it is, and then so you say, "So how you been?" And the person will tell you and say, "This been hard, this been," and then as the person talk to you, as the person telling you more about things, and you're like, you can give them some advice. Of course, everybody have we all have experienced life so far that you can give some piece of advice to someone, but then along the line you can say, but I know somebody who could really help out. It may not be the first conversation you're having the person that you're going to drop the name of a psychotherapist. It could be after the second conversation, after the third conversation, that you're building that rapport with that person so that they see it's coming out of love. It's
Mhm.
not all coming out of judgment. You're telling them something's wrong with you. You need to see someone. Unless the person is telling you they have a plan to kill themselves, they have a plan to hurt themselves, or a plan to hurt someone else, then we're talking about different story where something has to be done. And
911.
huh?
I said
Exactly. Then you got to call
911.
911. You got to get the professional ASAP. You
Yeah.
cannot continue a conversation with somebody who has suicidal ideation and has a plan to do something about it.
And what you're speaking about is really where I'm pulling it full circle now. It's really about being present because I'm a firm believer that when the pain outweighs the pleasure, then I will make a change. I can't push someone to their hole sooner than they can. So
Mhm.
I can pray for them, I can talk to them, I can send things, I can do a lot of things, but I ultimately cannot make the choice or
Mhm.
decision for them, like you said, unless those three things. So I think, because I just know life, and I know that when people get to those spaces, even if they have the mental breakdown or they have to be, hospitalized for 3 days, whatever the breakdown is, because we all go through breakdown, there's always a breakthrough after the breakdown. That's proof. I will stand on it. I will sign it in my blood. With every breakdown, there's a breakthrough. So if everybody can just look forward to the breakthrough, I mean, they're going to have it and we can't do anything about it. We can just be, how can I support you? I notice you look this way. I love you. Love is the only thing on this planet that heals anything. Love.
I get what you guys are saying, but I still go back to, what do you say? And I like what Miriam was saying. What or if you have, what advice do you have, Tori? Because it's sometimes it's not necessarily.
I got what you're saying, but what I usually say to them is, I noticed that you've been, I'm paying attention to them. I'm looking at their breath. I'm looking at their face. I'm looking at their hair, how they're dressed. Do they look disheveled? Or, are they droopy? They look angry. They're snappy. Their tone. I'm really so present with them that I'm noticing and feeling into all these things. And I mean, people just pour into me anyway. I just have that kind of way with people. So, my beautiful words are just like, how can I support you? I'm noticing something. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm seeing something. I'm feeling something. Am I right? Am I wrong? I care about you. I love you. What can I do? I'm here because one day you'll be here, maybe be there for me. Sometimes even a little manipulation, I call that positive manipulation. I might, do something where it's like I'm showing them themselves through somebody else or a story I might have with hopes that they're going to hook onto it and catch it. Most times they do.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a big thing that I know a lot of times people experience, and most people just don't know. And the other thing I often I see you trying to I see you, Miriam. The other thing I often remind people is that sometimes people are not exactly comfortable or aware of how to get help. So when you know, or when you see someone in need of the service, one of the things that I always tell people is offer to walk the path with them. Not just telling someone, hey, you need to see a therapist, but being able to say, do some research. Hey, I know some people, or can we call we can call your insurance, or I'll go to the first appointment with you. A lot of times just being able to be there, not just sit back and be there for them, but presently, physically, emotionally, actually engagingly being there with the person can
I
make a
love
great
that.
difference.
I
Sorry,
love
Miriam.
that.
I had to finish.
No, that's beautiful what you just said. That was complete.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with that. And also, I find that sometimes even you're talking about your own experience, talking about, something that you've been through. We've all been through something that was difficult in our lives. Talking about your own experience, saying, when I was going through this and this and that, I want, and then the person then sees you different, like, oh, this person is also, and they relate. They relate better because they don't feel like they're the only person going through this. And then because we all have things in our life that
Yeah.
didn't work out the way we thought it was going to work out. Just being vulnerable in front of that person makes the person say, I can be vulnerable too. I can let her know what's going on. And like you're saying, Judy, then you are there next to them as you're doing that step.
Can I just share with
connection is so important.
Let me share this with you guys. So I think it was about 5 years ago, my body decided that it needed a break. And like from here down to my toes, everything just started breaking. And yes, it was just like one. And at one point, one of the things, I was having a stomach issue, and one of the doctor put me on something. And it was like the moment that thing hit my body, it was like there were two things in the box. There was like that little thing, the thing that the doctor put, and there was depression right. No, and there was depression right there. It was like the little device, and then depression was right there. And the moment it hit my body, and like the depression just like boom. So one of my friends was asking me how I was doing, like soon after that, and I mentioned that, and after that, I was like, I'm talking to you. You better not tell nobody I'm saying this. And then after that, I wasn't comfortable with that, so I did a video, and I posted on my channel mentioning how I was experiencing depression and what I was doing to deal with it. Okay, I was just sharing at that point. I really was not trying to do all the work that came afterwards. The number of people, because that was the first video that I did that I insisted that people watch. I shared it on my social media, and I text everyone. I said, "Hey, I want you to watch this, and not only do I want you to watch this, I want you to share it." And people just like people I know, not just random people I know that I see every day started, yeah, I've had depression for this long. I've been dealing with this. I've been coping. And it was like just realizing how many people just right around me, people in my circle who were going through it. And just by me revealing that, hey, this happened and this was what I was. So, and I was and when I say a lot of work, it meant like, because when they would come, I couldn't just be like, yeah, dude, me too. So, I did take the time to help people start finding help. So it ended up being a lot of work, but I could see that. I keep saying I need to do an update video, or maybe I should have done one 6 years ago. But I don't know. I thought the aftermath was very anticlimactic because I went back to the doctor, medication stopped, depression kind of after a few weeks started going away, and it was like, there's no real punch to the story now. So that's why I didn't do a video.
But
What?
that reach out to other people, and that's what it is. Because a lot of time people think that because their life seems to be going okay, that you have no obstacles in life,
Mhm.
no hurdles. But we all go through ups and downs in life, and then being able to be vulnerable to somebody who needs help at the
Mhm.
moment they need the help
Yeah.
makes the person feel like, okay, I'm not the only one, and also humanize the situation and
Yeah.
validate their feeling,
Yeah.
normalize it for them, because it's just part of life.
Yeah.
We all have the ups and downs, and there's no such thing as somebody being up all the time.
So, what advice, what thoughts, what can you share with people walking into this 2020 holiday season where we're not going to, most of us are not going to have our traditional Christmas or Hanukkahs and Thanksgivings or Kwanzas, and most of us are not having our regular holiday? What do you, or maybe I should ask, start your answer with, this is how I'm doing the holiday.
Oh, that's a good one. um Basically, it's going back to core values such as spending, even though, like, in my case, I'm in Florida, all my siblings are still in Montreal or somewhere in Canada, so we're not seeing each other
And
for the holidays, that's for
you're
sure.
not welcomed in Canada unless you're a
I
Canadian
know.
citizen.
I know.
Persona non grata. So how are you doing
Yes.
holidays?
So basically, I'm gonna be here. Actually, I have a 17-year-old. My son's going because he wants to absolutely see his cousins. So I don't have. We have to quarantine. You have to, when you get there, you have to stay 14
Hmm.
days, and it's really serious. They take it seriously.
Wait,
So he's
is he
gonna
Canadian? Because
quarantine.
I thought they weren't allow other people.
He's Canadian also. He's also
Oh.
Canadian. So he can go with his, thank God, Canadian passport too. So he's going there, he's going to quarantine. That allows him to stay there for at least a month and a half since he's doing online schooling. He can stay there for a while and then continue schooling and then spend the holidays with the family. I have to stay here because I don't have that much time off to quarantine and do all that. So, but I'll still be able to connect with them. We're going to connect with Zoom and things like that. And I'm counting my blessing. And that's what I would tell people. I'm counting, it's really count your blessings. Things as simple as I can see, I can breathe, I can drink on my own, even little thing, every little blessing you can count. It's really count your blessings, because as much as it's not what we expected. It's not normally for the holidays. We always get together. Either they come here or I go over there. But this year, I'm blessed that nobody in my family, knock on wood, they're still there. We started with the same amount of people 2020. I've had my loss already in 2 years ago. But we started 2020 with the same, with us together, the five siblings were still there. And that's a huge blessing to me. I know I'm not gonna see them physically, but we're on the phone all the time. I see my nieces growing up and I look at them, and they do their mark on the wall to see that they're growing every time, which something they were not doing before because nobody used to do that, but now they do because they want to see how they're growing during the pandemic. So I send them gifts, and I count my blessing. I'm very I you have to really think that what you have, because we're very blessed. We're still here. If you're here listening to us, you are blessed. You are absolutely blessed, because that means you survived this pandemic so far and you can continue on. That's my last word.
That's not your last word, because I have a very special last question everyone is required to answer. But I'll let Tori go.
Well, I'm going to be celebrating. I celebrate life every day, because every day I get to wake up and have it. I'm grateful. And I'm a very spiritual person. So I meditate in motion. I'm always with nature. I'm always with people. I'm always with family. Every day I'm connected to my family through FaceTime, through letter writing, through talking on the phone. And, I just bought a new house. So I'm going to be decorating. It's empty, brand spanking new, loving it. And I'll be decorating and buying gifts and sending people gifts through Amazon and the mail, the United Postal Service mail, and just having fun with it, and just talking and cooking scrumptious meals and taking long walks, and maybe take a trip over. I think the Grand Canyon's like only about an hour and a half drive from me, so I may go over there and smile at it.
One of the things I have been recommending and encouraging people to do is using the resources that are available. Just as you guys mentioned, that you're, Miriam, you mentioned how you're Zooming with your family during the holiday, and Tori mentioning how you FaceTime. Thanksgiving is next week. And that's going to be the first major hit for the holidays for most people. If none of you, and yes, some countries like Canada is saying, no, y'all can't come. I'm not mad at them, because at one point I looked in Canada, the whole country of Canada. Is it a country or is it a whatever? The whole Canada, the Commonwealth of Canada had less COVID than any one of our states. So I'm with them, dear Canada. I support you. May I please borrow a citizenship? So when I tell people, hey, for me, if I wasn't, one of the things I would love to see people do, put Zoom or whatever thing on the biggest TV in the house, and roll that into the living room, or not the living room, but into the dining room, so that the parts or the members of your family who are not there, though the members of your family who are not there can be there. Runner YG just said he don't get on with family at all. So if you're in that space where your holidays are not are not necessarily with family, because there are a lot of people in that situation where the family is just not, maybe you normally have friends holidays. So instead of you zooming in with all your family on the big screen, maybe having all your friends that would normally get together for a holiday dinner, and we have it that way. That way you can still be, but do not put it on the phone and everybody's sitting there looking at the phone. Stream it to the TV and everybody could be part of the conversation. There's the tape. That is my idea of what Thanksgiving, of what Christmas dinner, of what Hanukkah, like when you're doing the Hanukkah lighting of the menorah,
Yep.
put the TV, put the Zoom right there up in front of the menorah, and everybody's lighting a menorah together, and you can say your prayers, and because it's gonna be tough. It's 2020 has been tough, and the holidays are gonna be tough, but we need to be able to find ways that we can still connect as we continue to enjoy, as we continue to like not let, I guess in a way, not let this thing beat us. So bringing and creating the new normal. And Zoom, I know I have my issues with them, but they need to give me a commission too. I'm trying to get a commission from everybody, if you can tell. So that's what okay.
And for those of you who are great cook, if you want to videotape all the great things you do, you can share it. I'll watch it. And I can learn some new things.
That's
Because-
another, that would be
and
another great thing
anything
that
you
people
wanna
can do.
share with others. That would be a great thing. Good time. It could be a challenge of the best turkey. Make it.
Yeah.
And share it with others. And you see how many people like it, how many people send you different things. It will be a great time to share whatever you do, how you decorate.
Mhm.
And I love decoration too, so let me know how you decorate.
Those things, and for what do you say to what about people that don't have people? Because for me, one of the things that I usually love doing during the holiday season is a volunteer. Hey, Imani, volunteering, and ain't happening. I'm not even gonna lie and pretend it ain't happening. But some people don't have the families, and they don't have that big group of friends. What Runner YG mentioned, there are no friends. It's just him and his girlfriend. So hey, for me, you and your girlfriend are a good. Hi, Messiah. Hi, Oren. Hi, Trevor. Last time I didn't mention Trevor, and that was not good. Messiah was not happy that I didn't say hi to Trevor, so I mentioned Trevor. But yeah, he's saying that it's him and his girlfriend, and he's not sure if his daughter is gonna be able to come.
Well,
But
he already has his girlfriend.
you and your girlfriend, that's it. You guys you have that big holiday dinner, that big Christmas dinner, that big New Year's dinner, or whatever you celebrate. And it's not about how big the attendance of the party is. It's about how big the attendance of the party make it. Like, I could have a whole party by myself. I could have a whole party with two people. So it's not hey, if there are two of you, it's not only two of you. That's two whole people that could make. You can make the neighbors call the cops if you have two people there. You can. That is more than enough people to make the neighbors call the cops.
I could do that by myself if I put my Parliament
Hello,
all my 70s music on.
hello. So, Doc says we put up the Christmas tree early last week. You one of them people.
Wow.
You one of them people. But because it's 2020, I'm not gonna side eye you too much. But you know, whatever makes you happy, whatever brings joy to your home and to your family, I think that's exactly what you should be doing right now. I still judge you a little bit if your Christmas tree was up in July. I'm still judging you a little bit, but I'm on 100% in support of that if that's what made your family happy. So, Doc, I'm not judging you a lot.
This is a time of creation. So if people want to put their Christmas tree up in July, have at it.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the judgments. It's like whatever.
Oh, no.
Whatever makes you happy. Because you know what, Judy, I had that Christmas tree up in July. And you know what? All the kids that came into my house, they were just on fire.
Tori,
I left it up.
I support it. I agree with you. I'm 100% behind you. I'm just judging you a little bit right now.
Okay.
I'm just judging you a little bit right now.
Just 1%.
You do you, Tori.
No, but I am 100% in support and agree with you, because that's what brought you joy. I'm 100% in support of you doing it, no matter how much I judge you. But it's only a little bit. All right, let me ask you my last question. It's been 2020. It's been 2020 in America. And it's been 2020 in America for Black people. And now it's about to be 2020 in America for Black people in the pandemic during the holidays, right? What are you guys doing for self-care?
The thing we've been talking about, like you're saying, like whether it is going for a walk. I live downtown, which is really kind of, I'm fortunate, blessed to live there. And we have there's a market right on Clematis, right there. Not too far from where Matt Bernard is, actually. I could walk to his office if I wanted
Hold
to.
on. Is this my destiny that every time I bring one of these that Matt gets mentioned?
You should tell him he should listen more.
He listens and he watches the replays. But I like no serious.
Yeah, if I wanted to bother him more often, I could walk to his office basically, but I don't. So I have the market right next there. So on Saturday morning, I make it something to walk around and buy my fruits, my vegetable from the market. So walking around there, sometime walking on the intercoastal, which is nice. So I'm blessed that I am there. So that's one thing I do. And then I have a friend of mine who also lives. She lives in Africa. She used to. We went to school together, but her husband is a diplomat in Africa. So because of the time differences, she has 5 hours ahead of us. So in the morning, first thing in the morning, when I do for my walk, is a walk, and at the same time connecting with her. So I call her. So I make sure that I have at least, I would say I have 4 good friends that I touch base with on a weekly basis, including my sister, who's also one of my best friend. So we get in touch. So I get to laugh. I get to talk about what's bothering me. I get to talk to people, connecting with them. Walking, I like to walk and talk to people at the same time, because sometimes for me I'm getting my two favorite things done at the same time. So those are things that I would do and I would continue doing, even though we're far away from each other. But talking to someone on the phone, I feel like they're right next to me. If I want to Zoom with them, FaceTime them, I see them. So that's one. And I count my blessing. I really every day count my blessing and thank the higher power for what I have.
Awesome.
For me, as a African American woman, it's really been about supporting my African American community. So, like, I really seek out businesses, small businesses of people of color, cultural aspects, and buy from them and shop from them. Also, having those difficult conversations with uh, my European friends. You know, um, I walked in a furniture store the other day, and the woman said, my mother was with me, and she said, it was, all lives matter, because it was Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. And we had first, my mother wanted to go in deep because she's like Angela Davis, and I said, wait a minute, take it this way. And I said to the woman, I said, that's true, but you have to understand there's a distinction in that, and you don't get to excuse it or dismiss it with the entitlement that you are biased within yourself. So we had a beautiful dialogue and conversation, and we ended up like almost best friends, all of us laughing and just talking. So it's really being willing to take those risks and having those difficult conversations about what's going on in America as a Black woman, as I have Black sons that are 29 and 30 who are faced with racial prejudice on a daily. And so it's really about having these conversations and never missing out on the opportunity to have them. And really and respecting one another's right with a lot of integrity and respect. And in some cases, the ones that I love, a lot of love with it, even if we agree to disagree. But it's being heard, it's using my voice, it's allowing them to use their voice. And so, the conversations this holiday is really important to me. I love watching my Black movies, Christmas movies this Christmas, and making my collard greens, my black eyed peas for New Year's. and my sweet potato pie, because I can cook. My family's from Louisiana, so we're Cajun, so we know how to put it together and make the gumbo and all that.
Put it on YouTube. Send it to us.
I don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit targeted in that nature.
See, I don't want a YouTube dinner.
I know you.
I want to wait. I want to wait till I'm getting on a plane dinner.
Well, fly them out to Vegas,
so that we can learn. That's what I'm saying. You're sharing your knowledge.
Yeah, but in the morning I always just wake up with the remembrance of God, and I have, in my family I have Pentecostal, Jehovah Witness. My mother's Muslim. I have so many different ways of life in my family system, Catholic. So it's just the remembrance of God in all things that I do and say. I don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I was created perfect. I'm whole, perfect, and complete in this moment, and I don't have to add anything else to it. So I am enough in this moment. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I continue to do my work from the cradle to the grave. And that's what it's all about, being a seeker of knowledge, a seeker of healing, a seeker of all things in life while you're in it. Because you're in it to win it, you're in it to live it. So it's your choice. Get busy living or get busy dying.
Red said that. Right?
Yes.
You do know, Tori, I said Red said that. You do know what I'm talking about, right?
That's from the movie Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said Red said that.
Morgan Freeman. Stephen King wrote that.
Not Morgan Freeman. Red.
Oh, right.
Red. Red said it. Morgan Freeman said
it. Well,
yes. That's my movie. I'll tell you my Shawshank Redemption story another time.
Okay.
All right. Any last words that you guys want to share before we go?
Don't forget to be present to this moment. Tomorrow, next week, the next hour, don't count. Be present in this moment. Don't miss it.
Absolutely.
And you're a miracle. You're a miracle, and I am too. And when we get together and connect, we create another miracle.
Absolutely. Well said.
Huh?
I said, well said.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You're gonna sign that? You're gonna co-sign that? Okay. A couple other things that were said in the chat. Regine was saying that they almost never buy a tree. I can work with that because I'm not the tree person either, so I could work with you. And apparently, I need to schedule a play date with Messiah. I swear, children think that we're the same age. This is not the people will they will literally go to their parents. Can we set a play date with Miss Judy?
Wow.
And I'm like,
well, that's a compliment to you, my dear.
No, absolutely. I agree. I agree. So yes, Messiah has officially requested, and the fact that it's in the chat means that while they were watching this, Messiah said, can she come for a play date? And that's why this is in the chat right now. I wasn't there, but that's exactly what happened. All right. All right. I think that's all we have. I don't see any questions. Thank you guys so much for coming. I usually do a quick run through on my, so I will say Doc 1, Aljacat, Vicky Brooks, Runner YG, Isabel J, that's Regine, Francisca, Genevieve, Imani, and I think those are all the people who said something. So all you guys who engaged, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you guys so much for engaging. And I know there were some other people who were here. I still appreciate you. I still think you're awesome, but I can't name you by name since you didn't really say any, since you did not speak in the chat, and therefore I don't know you're here, but I kind of know you're here, so I'm gonna tell you, yeah, you're still cool in my book, even though I don't know your name. And that's gonna be so all we have for today. And yeah, good morning, world. Good morning, world.